みんなや、俺はデモちゃんだよ。
今すぐ上に終わったせい、デモちゃん。
何？マジかよ。やつが危ない武器を持ってるぞ。仕方ない。戦力で行くしかないな。ごめんな、師匠。でも俺はフルパワーで行くしかない。俺のハーフサトイチを見ろ。敵。オーバーヒールオーバーライブ。
Greetings humans, the half Zatoichi, the weapon that gives you the true experience of a violent genocide simulator. It's a weapon that sacrifices mobility in exchange for the ability to traumatize everyone you come across, giving the player the unique experience of getting the enemy out of the point in a way you can say it's kind of very violent. A weapon truly designed to surprise both the player and the enemy like truly an experience comparable to a group of toddlers trying to fight Mike Tyson. So what better way to start the video talking about the origins of this work of the devil himself? So the half Zatoichi originated from some blind old guy from a movie that for some reason refused to shift his weapon unless he killed somebody. Blah blah blah. Now let's talk about the stats. The half Zatoichi will heal at 50% of your base health and kill, allowing it to be a literal tank. It also has a longer melee range. Soldiers can also use this weapon.
Yay!
It also hurts you when you try to switch weapons without killing anyone first. But before even talking about how the stats affect your gameplay, I want to talk to you about one of the most bullshit mechanics that I've ever seen in multiplayer video games. If you don't use this weapon very often, you probably find this that funny. Or amusing even. But for me, this mechanic feels like a bad joke I've heard over and over again. And you're probably saying, well, I don't see a problem. Yeah, I want to hear you say that again when you're fighting 3 of them. Oh, and just a reminder that the concept of honor does not exist in TF2, so don't expect a fair 1v1, buddy. And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear this. When you're doing good with the Zatoichi, you will get a good killing sprees here and there, but when you're doing a little too good, some people might not be very happy about it. And that's the moment when the enemy team had enough of your bullshit and they all switched to the half Zatoichi. And congratulations, you've earned yourself your first sworn enemies.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
Oh, and have I mentioned that we haven't even gotten to the actual weaknesses of this weapon yet? Oh, but what could possibly a weapon like this have as a weakness, right? Did I tell you that this weapon offers no mobility, boss? That's right, the weapon that allows you to be a literal tank forces you to move just as fast as one.
Actually, Shotgunbot, you move 3% faster than the average speed, partner.
Oh, that's exactly the fucking problem. Because when you don't have your charge ready and you're all alone against the scout that's jumping around at full speed, not gonna lie, you're kinda screwed. And because of this, you're constantly gonna get cocked. A lot. Need a dispenser? Cocked. Need a health bag? Cocked. Need a sandwich? You guessed it. Cocked. Well, by now you probably get the point. But now, before we get into the actual strengths of the weapon, I would like to mention that we have memberships available. Perhaps by this point I might be a little annoying insisting so much with this, but you know, it's kinda bullshit that YouTube pays me like $1 for 1,000 visits. But perhaps you might be a little worried about the fact that my uploads aren't that consistent, so you don't know if it'll actually be worth buying membership. Which is why I made a lot of videos for members. Yeah, that many. And depending on how many people join membership, I'll be uploading more special content there. You can get more information about the benefits by simply clicking the join button. You don't even have to buy anything. And if you're still watching, thank you for not skipping this part. Alright, let's continue with the video now. So far we've said nothing but crap about the Zatoichi. But now, ladies and gentlemen, the part nobody was waiting for. Because this weapon has one single upside that neutralizes almost every single downside. And for this upside to work, you have to lock in. because in the heat of battle, one single moment of distraction might end up in certain death, because you can get a kill and die horribly, or you can get a kill and absolutely obliterate the enemy team. Opinions on this weapon may vary a lot. There are very well-known YouTubers like Zatoichi saying that this is the best sword?
Demoknight's best sword.
Fucking ignorant. I mean, yeah, it's a sword that pretty much allows you to be more impactful in the game. But as someone who is a big fan of getting big-ass fucking kill streaks, I am severely offended. But in my respectful opinion on Zatoichi's opinion, hold on a minute. This is me post-editing. And you know what? Looking at my quote-unquote respectful opinion, no, I'm not gonna give you a respectful opinion anymore. And you know why? Because this weapon fucking sucks. And that's your reality of it. Because quote-unquote, the Zatoichi keeps you alive, it really doesn't. It's more like a casino. You either charge in and die, or get a few kills and die. Because it has no mobility upsides, no defensive upsides, and you can barely call the healing upside an offensive upside since the healing it does is so damn miserable considering that in TF2 there are a lot of weapons that can out-damage your healing. And I'm so triggered that the quote-unquote best Demoknight said that the best sword is the half Zatoichi, because it really isn't. But enough about me complaining. How about we take a look at Zatoichi's video?
And it also heals you way faster than a medic can, especially if people keep running into the blade. Wait, how much damage did I just tank there? Let's see. That is roughly 475 damage taken.
While this might sound impressive, you're all forgetting one little detail. All of these enemies only needed one hit to be killed. And yeah, he would have died if he was using the Eyelander. But this example literally makes the viewer set unrealistic expectations on what their enemy's HP should be like. Because you'll rarely get a situation where good enemy players are at 1 health. With this, I'd like to also point out that the Zatoichi isn't a tanky weapon like everyone thinks. Considering that you only heal yourself 100 HP every time you kill someone, which wouldn't be a problem if all of your enemies had 1 HP. However, in reality, you're gonna take around 4 to 5 seconds to kill a single enemy. And remember that in TF2, most classes can deal up to 200 damage in less than 1 second.
Meanwhile, the Eyelander mostly helps you run away. An Eyelander Demoknight couldn't dream of being this aggressive. There's a funny mechanic where you can instantly kill other players who are using the same weapon, which I'll go over in more detail later. The main downside is the honor-bound mechanic. It's a pretty good pick for competitive play, even if you're using the sticky bomb logic. I've been trying my hardest to think of a single situation where the Eyelander would have been the better choice for this match. It asks for a very large KD ratio before it starts outperforming the other swords, requiring the enemy to be worse than you. Dying is about as punishing as dropping an Uber, because you have to spend a long time rebuilding what you've just lost. Meanwhile, the half Zatoichi is a consistent good choice, regardless of your teammates, regardless of your own skill level, regardless of the enemy team's skill level, and regardless of the map you're playing on.
Now, if you don't feel like reading all of that, well, we can summarize everything in a debate.
The Zatoichi is a better offensive weapon.
While yes, the Zatoichi was meant to be an offensive weapon, it heals you every time you kill someone, so you need to engage in combat a lot. However, you get the extra health if you kill someone, which of course, it's not like any soldier with 3 brain cells would think of shooting at the ground and throw you off balance before you can even get the extra health. And now what? You're essentially a normal class with normal speed carrying a melee weapon, with no real way to defend yourself or attack.
How can we really trust a guy whose half experience in Demoknight wasn't too fort?
First of all, if we are talking half, my hours right now are 1,637 hours as only Demoknight, and if we divide my hours as Demoknight by 2, the result is 818, meaning I spent at least 818 hours on other maps that are not 2 fort. And yeah, I played 2 fort a lot, you guys caught me, I'm addicted to having fun at the video game.
The Zatoichi is better at escaping than the Eyelander, and I bet your 2-foot great man can't even understand how.
Yes, this is an actual argument that someone said when I was debating with one of those Zatoichi weeps. But since there are some people out there exactly as dumb as this guy, I won't even say anything. Because according to him, I'm a 2-fort brain rot. But if you really won't believe me for that, how about I let Uncle Dane, the not 2-fort player, speak for me?
Turns out Team Fortress 2 is not a simple little game where you can just turn down the speed and turn up the health and have everything work out on paper, because being slow in Team Fortress 2 makes you a sitting duck, and being susceptible to focus fire in this game makes an extra 100 health feel like it legitimately does not matter at all. In TF2, movement is more valuable than health.
Eat my testicles.
What about surfing damage? With all the extra health, it should be easier, right?
It doesn't necessarily makes it easier, you just last longer at surfing before dying. If you want faster and easier surfs, I'd recommend literally any other sort, since you know, at the end of the day, mobility is more valuable than health.
The Zatoichi lets you survive situations where the Eyelander can't.
This is true. Each sword has different situations where they might work or not in specific situations. However, of all the situations possible, the Zatoichi is the one that gets completely destroyed when you compare it to how many situations the Zatoichi could survive compared to other swords.
The Eyelander doesn't have the same cheating capabilities of the Zatoichi.
No shit, each sword is different. Besides, cheating only works against 2 types of players: brain-dead people that literally can care less about your existence, and people who need one shot to be killed.
The Zatoichi is less punishing than the Eyelander.
Oh really? Huh, that's curious. You're probably saying that because of how it feels once you die and lose all your heads, right? Yeah, that's a pretty bad punish. For dying. However, the Eyelander only punishes you for dying. Do you have any fucking idea how stupidly punishing the Zatoichi is? Oh, let me show you. First, when you die with the Zatoichi, nothing of value has been lost, right? No heads, no health, and no extra speed. Nothing. However, let's say you're fighting the enemy team, you charge at them, and you miss your crit. What does each sword do? Let's see. The Eyelander would simply help you run away, since you're faster and you can dodge and surf damage easier. The Person Persuader really depends on the situation. Like an escape would be even easier if an ammo bag just happens to be nearby. Or you can also escape if you murder the unaware sniper that just happens to be walking nearby. However, when you miss with the Zatoichi, what do you even do? You don't have any extra health, you just missed your crit. You don't have your charge, no speed bonuses, no damage bonuses. Nothing that can help you out of this situation other than just hoping that the enemy team fails their shots as you're desperately running away.
Well, why are you putting the Eyelander as always having 4 heads? You know it's hard to even get your first head.
That's why it's a level up weapon, to kill less experienced players so you can fight more experienced players later. Something that the Zatoichi only allows you to if you make no mistakes at all. And there's still gonna be some people saying, yeah, but that's just skill issue right there. Brother, you're a human. You are bound to make mistakes. Even to someone who has 10,000 hours in the game, they will still commit several mistakes in each match.
How can I prove to you that the Zatoichi is good?
The Zatoichi works as a second option, not the first option. When your team is absolute dog shit and the enemy team is decent, to a point where it's impossible to get more than 2 heads, then yeah, it's a good option to pick. More viable than the Eyelander. Since you're gonna die, of course, but at least you'll put up a better fight. I also want to say that I'm not saying that the Zatoichi is the worst weapon. I'm saying it's extremely situational. And even when the situation comes to use it, it's most likely your last resort. And just because it's a last resort, it doesn't mean it's the best. Because when it comes to stomping noobs, the Eyelander is still superior in all aspects. And I don't really think I should explain why, since it's honestly pretty obvious. And when it comes to fighting good players, as long as you kill the less skilled ones to get to 4 heads, you still have better chances against people that know how to counter you or are pretty good at the game. But when you're using the Zatoichi, your chances of surviving a 1v1 encounter against a good player decrease significantly, because he can juggle you or pretty much move away from you easily. Oh, and how about we make a honorable mention of the constant bullshit you have to put up when using this weapon. Enemies that unalive themselves before you kill them, therefore you don't get any extra health. Your team stealing your kills. Being completely vulnerable after a charging.
Oh, this is not good.
You get absolutely shit on by Deadringer spies, because you get no extra heals by activating it. Meanwhile, Eyelander Demoknights can get an extra head and another one if they manage to kill this spy. Your team's stealing your health packs, which of course doesn't sound terrible, but now you have to wait there until it respawns again. Because if you try to go for another one, you run the risk of running the same luck you just had, which by that case, you're better off walking back to spawn. As an Eyelander Demoknight, at least you have a chance to literally quickly get to another health pack in the rare case that happens. Which is pretty rare, because you're usually the one stealing shit because of how fast you are. And that's just a few of them, because I would make an entire video about the constant BS that comes with using the Zatoichi. And another funny thing is, I get higher kill streaks with any other sword except the half Zatoichi. Oh, and before someone asks, well, if the Zatoichi is so bad, why do you have 100,000 kills in it? And to that I say that I first began playing Demoknight with the Zatoichi until I got 70,000 kills, and then started using other swords. Plus, the idea of being the first guy to reach 100k with that weapon was pretty cool. Now then, if I were to rate the Zatoichi from S tier to absolute doo-doo piss caca, I would probably rate it as really situational. Cause yeah, there are some situations where it works. Especially when you're dying a lot with the Eyelander, to a point you can't really get 4 heads. Basically, you're better off playing with the Zatoichi if there's a big disadvantage on your side. Now, I'm not saying that the Zatoichi is so good that it can fight against all odds. I'm saying that the Zatoichi will have more impact in an unbalanced match, since at least you'll be able to take 2 or 3 guys down before you die. But even then, taking multiple people down is still going to be almost impossible if they know what they're doing and you don't. Which is why I disagree with Solarlight on the fact he said that. Your skill doesn't matter, your team's skill doesn't matter, and the enemy's skill doesn't matter. That's full-blown bullshit. It all depends on your team's ability to take the enemy's sights off you and the enemy's knowledge on how to counter Demoknight. Cause believe it or not, it's really fucking simple. Now, some of you may be asking yourselves, if the Zatoichi is better at unbalanced matchups, wouldn't it be better than the Eyelander if it's a balanced matchup? And with balanced matchup, I mean people who are decent at TF2. Cause most decent players' natural reaction to seeing their teammate get fucking decapitated by an enraged Scottish man is to press S on their keyboard and get away from you as quick as possible, which is gonna make it so you take quite a lot of time before you can actually catch up to them, which by that time you're already taking in a lot of damage. Now, I'm not saying that good players won't run away from a Demoknight that's attacking them, but in an unbalanced matchup, you'll take 2 or 3 guys down just in case they don't react in time. Because if they know you're coming, believe me, you're not taking anyone with you before you die. Well, with all of this said, I think it's fair to finish the video here. However, I do have an optional wish list of the things I'd like to change in the half Zatoichi, so it's actually viable to use even against good teams. Though if you're not interested, you can skip this part, cause, you know, it's not like Valve is gonna do shit. Anyway, starting off, first, I'd keep all the stats as they are. With that, I mean the downsides and upsides. Second, after killing an enemy, you get a speed boost of 4 seconds, so you can catch another enemy that's on the run. Third, I would add a frenzy meter. Now what is this, you may ask? The frenzy meter is something that is right up to your charge meter, and it fills up with every time you hit an enemy. With 25% in, you get a 13% hit speed bonus. With 50%, you get a 26% bonus on your hit speed, and with 75% in, you get a 39% hit speed bonus. And of course, to make it balanced, this meter empties itself at a moderate pace, and you fill it at 20% with each hit. And last but really not least, I would change the one-hit duel mechanic, so it only affects people who are using the dueling minigame, and not anyone who uses the Zatoichi. Now Shogunbot, where are the downsides? I'll tell you where they are, and the main downside is that you're still using a melee weapon. Dumbass. You don't have the ability to defend yourself from far away, nor mid-range, only melee range. Even the Eyelander's only debuff is 25 less HP.